I've been waiting for you. Come to me.
The firm's holiday party was everything I expected from Vanessa's law office crowd. Overpriced champagne, forced laughter, and enough fake smiles to power Times Square. I stood at the bar, nursing my second whiskey, watching my wife of 12 years work the room like she owned it, which, knowing Vanessa, she probably thought she did. "Another drink, sir?" The bartender looked about 19 and terrified of spilling anything on the partners. "Make it a double," I said, adjusting my tie. The damn thing felt like a noose. "And keep them coming." Vanessa glided past in her red dress, the one I'd bought her for our anniversary last month. She didn't even glance my way, too busy laughing at something Greg Porter was whispering in her ear. Greg damn Porter, golden boy of Morrison, Klein and Associates. Harvard Law, perfect teeth, drives a Tesla that probably costs more than my entire car restoration shop makes in 6 months. The kind of guy who calls everyone champ and thinks he invented confidence. I watched them dance to some slow jazz number, her hand resting on his shoulder like she belonged there, like I didn't exist. "Nick, there you are." Jill Martinez appeared beside me, Vanessa's best friend and the firm's HR director. She had that look, the one women get when they know something you don't want to hear. "Jill," I raised my glass. "Hell of a party. You seem distant tonight." "Just tired. Long day at the shop." I kept my eyes on Vanessa and Greg, who were now whispering by the Christmas tree like teenagers. "Your girl's having fun." Jill followed my gaze. Something flickered across her face. Guilt, maybe? "Nick, Save it." I finished my whiskey. "Whatever you're about to say, just save it." That's when I heard it. I'd moved closer to the tree, pretending to admire the decorations, while Vanessa and Greg stood just behind me. Their voices were low, but not low enough. "Did you book a room?" Vanessa's voice, breathy with excitement. "Yes, 322. Same hotel as last time." Greg's reply made my blood freeze. "Perfect. I already slipped something into his drink. He'll be out cold in 20 minutes. My hand tightened around my empty glass. They were talking about me. My own wife had sedated me. I turned slightly, catching Greg's smug smile. "Poor fool won't know what hit him. How long has this been going on now? 6 months?" "7, Vanessa corrected. "Since the Memorial Day barbecue at your place." 7 months. 7 freaking months while I'd been working 60-hour weeks to keep our mortgage current. She'd been playing house with Harvard boy. I felt the room spin slightly, whether from rage or whatever she'd put in my drink, I couldn't tell. But I'd barely touched the whiskey she'd brought me earlier. The one sitting on our table, the one I was supposed to go back to. Time to give them what they wanted. I stumbled back to our table, making sure to sway just enough to look affected. The whiskey glass sat there, innocent as cancer. I picked it up, pretended to take a long drink, then made my way to the leather couch by the fireplace. "Feeling okay, honey?" Vanessa appeared with perfect timing, concern painted across her beautiful face. "Just tired," I mumbled, letting my words slur slightly. "Think I need to lie down." "Poor baby. You work too hard." She helped me stretch out on the couch, even tucked her jacket under my head like a pillow. The perfect loving wife. "Just rest. I'll check on you in a bit." I closed my eyes and let my breathing deepen, but kept my phone recording in my jacket pocket. Through half-closed lids, I watched her walk back to Greg, saw her nod, saw a satisfied smile. They waited exactly 10 minutes before disappearing toward the elevator. I gave them 5 more minutes, then sat up. The room spun for real this time. Whatever she'd given me was working, but not fast enough. I had maybe an hour before I'd be completely out. Jill was watching me from across the room. When our eyes met, she looked away quickly, guilt written all over her face. She knew. The witch knew. I made my way to the elevator, phone still recording. The hotel was connected to the office building, convenient for late-night meetings, I guess. Room 322 was on the 3rd floor, and I could hear them before I reached the door. Vanessa's laugh. Greg's voice saying something about finally getting rid of the grease monkey. I pressed my ear to the door, phone held high to catch every word. "God, I can't wait until the divorce is final," Vanessa was saying. "No more pretending to care about his stupid car projects." "What about the money? Doesn't he own that shop?" "Barely. The business is mortgaged to the hilt. I'll get the house, half his tools, and alimony. He's too proud to fight dirty." Greg laughed. "Poor fool has no idea what's coming. None at all. He actually thinks I'm working late when I'm here with you." God, he's pathetic. I'd heard enough. My hands shook as I stopped the recording, whether from rage or the pills, I couldn't tell. But I had what I needed. The elevator ride back down felt like falling into hell. I made it to the parking garage before the world started tilting sideways. Whatever Vanessa had given me was hitting hard now. I sat in my truck for 20 minutes, head spinning, planning my next move. By the time I got home, I had a plan. I woke up on the couch at 6 a.m. with a headache that felt like someone had used my skull for batting practice. Vanessa's car wasn't in the driveway, still at the hotel, probably. Or maybe they'd moved the party to his place. My phone had 17 missed calls from her, all starting around midnight. The messages were perfect. Concerned wife worried about her husband who'd mysteriously disappeared from the party. "Nick, where are you? I can't find you anywhere." "Honey, please call me back. I'm worried." "I'm calling the police if you don't answer." Academy Award material, really. I made coffee and waited. She came home at 6:47 a.m., still in her red dress, makeup smeared, hair that screamed, "I just got screwed by someone who isn't my husband." "Nick, thank God you're okay. I was so worried when you disappeared." "Room 322, I said quietly. She froze in the doorway. "What?" "The Marriott, room 322. That's where you were worried about me?" The mask slipped for just a second, long enough for me to see the calculating witch underneath. Then it was back in place. "I don't know what you're talking about. I spent all night looking for you. Ask Jill. Ask anyone." I held up my phone and played the recording. Her own voice filled our kitchen. "God, I can't wait until the divorce is final. No more pretending to care about his stupid car projects." The color drained from her face. "You sedated me," I said, standing up slowly. "My own wife sedated me so she could screw her boss in a hotel room. Nick, I can explain. 7 months since Memorial Day. How many others, Vanessa? How many other men while I was working to pay for this house?" She straightened, and there it was, the real Vanessa. Cold, calculating, mean as a snake. "You want to know? Fine. Greg, obviously. Tom from accounting. That contractor who redid our bathroom. Your friend Danny from the shop." The last one hit like a punch to the gut. "Danny, my best friend since high school." "You're a whore," I said. "And you're a loser who smells like motor oil and thinks a night out is beer and wings at Hooters." Her voice turned vicious. "You think I married you for love? I was 24 and stupid. I thought you had potential. Get out. This is my house, too. Get out." She grabbed a coffee mug from the counter and hurled it at my head. I ducked, and it exploded against the wall behind me, sending ceramic shards across the kitchen floor. We stood there staring at each other across the wreckage of our marriage, both breathing hard. "This isn't over," she said finally. "You're right," I replied. "It's just getting started." She grabbed her purse and stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. I stood in my kitchen, surrounded by broken ceramic, and smiled for the first time in months. Time to get to work. Tommy Brennan had been my best friend since 3rd grade and my business partner for the last 5 years. Ex-cop, built like a brick crap house, and loyal as a dog. When I called him at 7 a.m., he was at my house in 20 minutes with coffee and donuts. "So she's been screwing around for 7 months, he said, shaking his head. "Jesus, Nick, I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry, be useful." I showed him the recording, the photos I'd taken of them entering the hotel room, everything. "I want to destroy them, both of them." Tommy grinned. "Now you're talking my language. What do you need?" "First, lock her out of everything. Bank accounts, credit cards, the works. Can you still access that stuff from your cop days?" "I know people. Give me an hour." While Tommy worked his magic, I drove to the shop. Callahan's Classic Restorations wasn't much to look at from the outside, a converted warehouse in the industrial district. But it was mine. Built it from nothing, one restored car at a time. Danny Morrison was already there, working on a '67 Mustang. Danny, who'd been in my wedding, who'd been to every birthday party, every barbecue, every major event in my life for 15 years, who'd been screwing my wife. "Morning, Nick," he called out, not looking up from the engine. "How was Vanessa's Christmas party?" "Educational," I said. "Real educational?" Something in my voice made him look up. Guilt was written all over his face. "Nick, listen." I punched him. One clean right cross that dropped him like a bag of cement. He went down hard, blood streaming from his nose. "How long?" I asked. "Jesus, Nick. How long?" 3 months, he gasped, holding his nose. "It was just a few times, I swear. She said you guys were having problems." "Get out!" "Nick, come on. Get your tools and get out. You're done here." He scrambled to his feet, grabbed his toolbox, and ran for the door like his A was on fire. Good. One down. Tommy showed up an hour later with news. Bank accounts are frozen, he reported. Credit cards canceled. I also had a buddy at the DMV flag her car registration. She'll get pulled over for any little thing now. What about Greg? Harvard boy's got some interesting habits. Cocaine for one, high-end escorts for another. My guy at Vice has been watching him for months. Perfect. I need more, I said. I want everything, financial records, phone records, everything. That's going to cost, how much? $2,000? Cash. I wrote him a check. Make it happen. The next stop was Vanessa's office. Morrison, Klein, and Associates occupied 3 floors of a downtown high-rise, all glass and chrome and intimidation. I knew the layout from company parties. Vanessa's office was on the 15th floor, Greg's was on 16. I took the elevator to 15 and walked straight to Marcy Chen's desk. Marcy was Vanessa's paralegal, a quiet woman in her 40s who did all the real work while Vanessa took the credit. Hi, Marcy. Is my wife in? Oh, hi, Nick. No, she called in sick today. Marcy looked nervous. Are you okay? You look angry? Yeah, I am. Can I ask you something? She nodded. How long have you known about Vanessa and Greg? Her face went white. I don't know what you mean. I pulled out my phone and played 30 seconds of the hotel recording. Marcy's eyes went wide. Holy crap, she whispered. Yeah, holy crap. I leaned on her desk. Here's the thing, Marcy. I know you hate her. I know she treats you like garbage, takes credit for your work, and makes your life hell. So I'm going to make you an offer. What kind of offer? Help me destroy her, and I'll make sure you get her job when the dust settles. Marcy stared at me for a long moment. Then she opened her desk drawer and pulled out a flash drive. Everything's on here, she said. Client files she's been falsifying, billing records she's been padding, evidence she's been stealing from the settlement fund. She handed it to me. I've been waiting 2 years for someone to ask. I pocketed the drive. What about Greg? Sexual maltreatment complaints. 3 of them. The partners buried them because he brings in too much money. She pulled out another file. Also, he's been embezzling from client accounts. Small amounts, but it adds up. Why are you doing this? Her smile was cold as winter. Because she told me last week that she was going to fire me after New Year's. Said I was dead weight. I shook her hand. Welcome to the team. Vanessa came home that evening to find the locks changed and her car blocked in the driveway by my truck. She stood on the front porch, pounding on the door and screaming like a banshee. Nick, open this door right now. I opened it, but kept the security chain in place. Can I help you? This is my house too. You can't lock me out. Actually, I can. I'm the only one on the mortgage. You're just an occupant. I held up a legal document. Restraining order. You need to stay 50 feet away from me at all times. Her face went purple. You can't do this. Already did. Your stuff is in boxes on the side porch. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. I closed the door and listened to her scream for another 10 minutes before she finally left. Phase 1 complete. The next morning, I drove to the office building and waited in the parking garage. Greg's Tesla was easy to spot, vanity plates that read Lawyer 1. Subtle. I keyed cheater into the driver's side door, let the air out of all 4 tires, and left a used condom on the windshield. It was clean, but he didn't need to know that. Then I went upstairs to watch the show. Greg discovered his car around lunchtime. I was sitting in the lobby coffee shop when he came storming through, face red with rage, tie askew. Where is he? He screamed at the security desk. Sir, you need to calm down. That grease monkey vandalized my car. The whole lobby was staring now. Perfect. I stood up and walked over. Problem, Greg. He spun around, fists clenched. You son of a witch. Careful, I said quietly. There are cameras everywhere, and about 50 witnesses. He swung anyway. I ducked, and his fist connected with the marble pillar behind me. He screamed and grabbed his hand. Security! Someone yelled. 2 guards grabbed Greg and dragged him toward the exit while he cursed and struggled. The whole thing was on about 20 phones, already being uploaded to social media. I walked back to my coffee like nothing had happened. By evening, the video had gone viral locally. Lawyer loses it in office lobby was trending on Twitter. The comments were brutal. Vanessa called me that night from a hotel room. You're destroying everything, she said. Just getting started, I replied, and hung up. The next day, I sent Marcy's files to the State Bar Association, the IRS, and 3 local news stations. Anonymous tips about corruption at Morrison, Klein & Associates. By Friday, Both Greg and Vanessa were under investigation. But they weren't done fighting. The false police report came on Monday morning. 2 cops showed up at my shop while I was working on a Dara 72 Chevelle. Nick Callahan? You're under arrest for domestic assault. What? They cuffed me and read me my rights while Tommy watched in shock. Apparently, Vanessa had filed a complaint claiming I'd beaten her up when she came to get her things. At the station, they showed me photos of bruises on her arms and face. Professional job. Makeup, probably, but convincing. My client has evidence of his whereabouts during the alleged incident, my lawyer said. Thank God for security cameras at the shop. The charges were dropped in 4 hours, but the damage was done. Local news ran the story. Local business owner arrested for domestic violence. Vanessa had played dirty. Time to return the favor. I called Tommy. Remember that favor you owe me? Name it. I need Greg's apartment tossed. Nothing stolen, just redecorated. Tommy grinned. I know some guys. While Tommy's guys were working, I paid a visit to Greg's office. He was meeting with clients, so I waited in the lobby reading a magazine. When he came out and saw me, his face went white. What are you doing here? Waiting for you. I stood up. We need to talk. I'm calling security. About what? I'm just sitting here reading Forbes. I held up the magazine. Interesting article about embezzlement in law firms. You should read it. He tried to walk past me, but I stepped into his path. Move, he said. Or what? You'll throw another tantrum like last week? His jaw clenched. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Sure I do. Rich boy who thinks his money makes him untouchable. Daddy probably bought your way into Harvard, bought your job, bought everything you've ever had. I leaned closer. But you can't buy your way out of this. Out of what? I handed him a manila envelope. Photos of you and my wife, audio recordings, financial records showing your embezzlement, sexual maltreatment complaints from 3 different women. I smiled. Pick your poison, Greg. Which one do you want to see on the evening news first? He opened the envelope and his face went gray. What do you want? I want you to suffer. I want you to lose everything, just like you tried to make me lose everything. I turned to leave, then looked back. Oh, and Greg? You might want to check your apartment. I was halfway to my truck when he came running out of the building, screaming my name. I kept walking. He caught up to me in the parking lot. What did you do? Nothing illegal, I said. Can't say the same for you. He grabbed my shoulder and spun me around. Bad move. I punched him twice, once in the gut, once in the face. He went down hard on the asphalt, blood streaming from his nose. Stay down, I advised. He didn't listen. He got up swinging wildly, catching me on the jaw. It hurt, but not much. I grabbed him by the tie and slammed him against my truck. You want to dance? Let's dance. That's when he ran. I chased him 3 blocks through downtown, past startled pedestrians and honking cars. He was fast for a lawyer, but I was motivated. He ducked into an alley behind a restaurant, probably hoping to lose me. Instead, he tripped over a pile of garbage bags and went down face first into a dumpster. I found him there 5 minutes later, covered in coffee grounds and food scraps, crying like a baby. Please, he sobbed. I'll do whatever you want. I looked down at him, this pathetic, privileged piece of crap who thought he could steal my wife and ruin my life, and felt nothing but contempt. Too late for that, I said, and walked away. The video of our chase was all over social media by evening. Someone had filmed the whole thing from an office window. Greg became a meme overnight. Dumpster lawyer was trending by midnight. But Vanessa wasn't done. Not by a long shot. The Lantern was my regular bar, the kind of place where everybody knows your name and your business. Frankie O'Brien had owned it for 30 years, and nothing happened in this town that he didn't know about. I was nursing a beer and watching the news coverage of Greg's dumpster dive when Vanessa walked in. The whole bar went quiet. She looked like hell. No makeup, hair unwashed, wearing the same clothes she'd had on yesterday. The investigation at her firm was taking its toll. She walked straight to my table and sat down. We need to talk, she said. No, we don't. Nick, please, this has gone far enough. I laughed. Far enough? Lady, I haven't even gotten started. Frankie appeared at our table. Everything okay here? Just having a conversation with my soon-to-be ex-wife, I said. She was just leaving. I'm not going anywhere until we settle this. Settle what? You cheated on me for 7 months. You sedated me. You tried to have me arrested on false charges. What exactly is there to settle? The whole bar was listening now. Vanessa looked around nervously. Can we at least do this in private? Why? You didn't seem to care about privacy when you were screwing Greg in hotel rooms. I raised my voice deliberately. Or when you were screwing Danny in our garage, or Tom from your office, or that contractor. What was his name? Mike? Someone in the back of the bar whistled. Damn, Vanessa. Her face went red. You're making me look like a whore, because that's what you are. She slapped me, hard. The crack echoed through the bar. I didn't flinch. Feel better? You son of a witch. Actually, my mother's a saint. She raised me to treat women with respect. Too bad your parents didn't teach you the same about men. That's when Jill Martinez walked in. Jill took one look at the scene and tried to back out, but Frankie blocked her path. Well, well, I said. If it isn't the enabler herself. Come to support your friend. Jill's face went white. Nick, You knew, I said, standing up. You knew the whole time, didn't you? It wasn't my place to... Bull crap. My voice boomed through the bar. You watched me make a fool of myself at that Christmas party. You watched me bring her flowers, buy her gifts, work my A off to make her happy. And you knew she was cheating. Jill started crying. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't cut it. I turned to address the whole bar. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet Jill Martinez, HR Director at Morrison, Klein & Associates, the woman who helped cover up sexual maltreatment complaints against Greg Porter. The woman who knew my wife was cheating and said nothing. The crowd murmured angrily. Jill ran for the door. I sat back down and looked at Vanessa. Anyone else you want to bring to this party? She was shaking with rage. You're going to pay for this. How? You're unemployed, under investigation, and about to be divorced. What exactly are you going to do to me? I'll find a way. I leaned across the table. Try me. She stormed out, leaving me alone with my beer in a bar full of witnesses to her humiliation. But I wasn't done, not even close. The plan came together over the next week. Tommy had connections everywhere. Cops, private investigators, bartenders, hotel clerks. By Friday, we had everything we needed. I sent identical messages to Vanessa, Greg, and Jill. Meet me at the Marriott, room 322, Saturday at 8 p.m. Come alone. We can settle this like adults, or I release everything to the media Monday morning. They all showed up. I got there first with Tommy and Frankie. We'd convinced the hotel manager, an old friend of Frankie's, to let us use the room for a private meeting. What he didn't know wouldn't hurt him. Jill arrived first, looking nervous as hell. She knocked softly on the door. Come in, I called. She entered to find me sitting in the room's only chair, Tommy leaning against the wall, and Frankie by the window. Nick, what is this? This is your chance to come clean, I said. Tell me everything you know about Vanessa and Greg's affair. Everything you covered up at the firm. Everything. I can't. You can and you will, because if you don't, I'm going to make sure everyone knows you were an accessory to fraud, embezzlement, and sexual maltreatment. I held up a thick file. Your choice. She broke down and told me everything. The affairs, the cover-ups, the falsified documents. All of it. Greg showed up 20 minutes later, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. What the hell is this? He demanded when he saw the crowd. Intervention, I said. Sit down. I'm not sitting anywhere. I'm leaving. Tommy stepped in front of the door. No, you're not. Greg looked at Tommy's bulk and decided sitting was a good idea. Vanessa was last, arriving 30 minutes late in a transparent attempt to make an entrance. She walked in wearing her best power suit, probably thinking she could intimidate her way out of this. She saw Greg and Jill and stopped cold. What is this? This is the end, I said. Sit down. I'm not. Sit down. She sat. I looked around the room at the three people who'd destroyed my marriage and tried to destroy my life. So here we are, room 322, where it all started. I stood up and started pacing. 7 months ago, you two started your affair in this room. You, I pointed at Jill, helped cover it up. You all thought I was just some stupid grease monkey who'd never figure it out. Nick, Vanessa started. Shut up. I'm talking. I pulled out my phone. I have recordings of you planning to sedate me. I have photos of you entering this room together. I have financial records showing Greg's embezzlement. I have sexual maltreatment complaints that were buried. I have everything. Greg tried to stand. You can't prove. I can prove all of it. The question is, what am I going to do with the proof? That's when the door opened, and 3 men in expensive suits walked in. Sorry we're late, the lead man said. Traffic was murder. Vanessa and Greg went white. They recognized the men, senior partners from their firm. Gentlemen, I said, thank you for coming. I believe you know everyone here. The senior partner looked around the room with disgust. We got your message, Mr. Callahan, along with your evidence. What evidence? Greg stammered. I handed each partner a copy of the files Marcy had given me, plus my own recordings and photos. Everything, I said. The affairs, the embezzlement, the maltreatment, the cover-ups, all of it. The partner spent 10 minutes reviewing the files while Greg, Vanessa, and Jill sat in stunned silence. Finally, the senior partner looked up. Mr. Porter, Miss Callahan, you're both terminated. Effective immediately. Security will escort you from the building Monday morning. Miss Martinez, you're suspended pending a full investigation. Greg jumped up. You can't do this. I bring in millions. You're a liability, the partner said coldly, and a criminal. We'll be cooperating fully with the police investigation. Vanessa tried a different approach. This is all a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding was thinking we wouldn't find out. The partner stood. Mr. Callahan, thank you for bringing this to our attention. The firm will be filing charges against both of them. The partners left, taking their files with them. The room fell silent except for Jill's quiet sobbing. I looked at Vanessa and Greg, both of whom looked like they'd been hit by a truck. How does it feel? I asked. To lose everything in one night? Greg stood up shakily. This isn't over. Yes, it is. He lunged at me, but Tommy caught him and shoved him back into his chair. Stay down, Tommy advised. Vanessa was staring at me with pure hatred. You destroyed my career. You destroyed your career. I just made sure everyone found out about it. She started crying then. Not the manipulative tears she'd used on me for years, but real, ugly, desperate sobs. I have nothing left, she whispered. Good, I said. Now you know how I felt. The next few weeks were a blur of legal proceedings, media coverage, and sweet, sweet revenge. Greg was arrested on embezzlement charges. His trust fund daddy hired the best lawyers money could buy, but the evidence was overwhelming. He got 18 months in minimum security and a lifetime ban from practicing law. Vanessa lost her law license and was blacklisted from every firm in the state. Last I heard, she was working at a Target in the next town over, living in a studio apartment and driving a 10-year-old Honda. Jill got fired and couldn't find work anywhere in the legal field. She moved back in with her parents and started selling insurance. The firm promoted Marcy to senior associate and gave her Vanessa's old office. She sent me a bottle of champagne and a thank you note. Danny tried to come back to the shop, claiming he'd been seduced, and it wasn't his fault. I had Tommy escort him off the property with instructions not to come back. The divorce was finalized in record time. Vanessa got nothing. The prenup she'd insisted on years ago came back to bite her in the A. The house, the business, everything stayed with me. But the real victory came 3 months later. I was at the Lantern, celebrating the completion of a particularly challenging restoration project, when Vanessa walked in. She looked terrible, thin, pale, wearing a cheap dress that had seen better days. She walked straight to my table and sat down without being invited. Hello, Nick. Vanessa. I didn't look up from my beer. Slumming it tonight? I wanted to apologize. That got my attention. Excuse me? I'm sorry. For everything. The cheating, the lies, trying to frame you. All of it. She looked around the bar nervously. I know it doesn't mean much now, but I am sorry. You're right. It doesn't mean much. I was hoping maybe we could work something out. I'm struggling, Nick. I can barely make rent. I laughed. Actually, laughed out loud. Are you asking me for money? Just a loan to get back on my feet. Let me get this straight. You cheated on me for 7 months. You sedated me. You tried to have me arrested. You destroyed our marriage and tried to destroy my business. And now you want me to give you money? I'm desperate. Good. Stay that way. Her face crumpled. Please, Nick. I have nowhere else to go. Should have thought of that before you decided to screw half the city. She started crying again, but I felt nothing. No pity, no remorse, no second thoughts. I loved you, she whispered. No, you didn't. You loved what I could give you. The house, the security, the respectability. You never loved me. That's not true. It is true. And you know what the funny part is? I actually did love you. Right up until the moment I heard you planning to sedate me so you could screw your boss. I finished my beer and stood up. Where are you going? Home, to my house, that you'll never see again. Nick, wait. We're done, Vanessa. We were done the moment you chose Greg over me. Everything that happened after that was just consequences. I walked toward the door, then stopped and looked back. Oh, And Vanessa, next time you want to destroy someone's life, make sure they're not smarter than you are. The whole bar was watching as she sat there, crying into her hands, completely broken. I walked out into the night air, got in my truck, and drove home to my house, my business, and my life. The life she'd tried to take from me and failed. She'd wanted a different life, all right. And now she had one. It was all the wrong rooms for her now.